Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you could do right now in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
The $50 billion investment that we're making in the United States is explicitly an effort to bring our science closer to American patients so that they can benefit first from these breakthrough medicines.
Yeah, so I mean, people tend to think of travel as just vacations, but so many of life's biggest moments, like a new job, a relocation, maybe a home renovation, or like a temporary work assignment, all of these things can take you away from home for weeks, sometimes even months.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. A lot of action franchises try to go bigger every time, but Jack Ryan Ghost War is also digging into trust, loyalty, and what service really costs. The new film continues the world's fans already know while standing on its own for people jumping in fresh. And joining us today is the legendary Wendell Pierce, who returns as James Greer. Wendell, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, James Greer has always been one of the most grounded characters in this world. What do you enjoy most about stepping back into him for Ghost War?
The character of James Greer really reflects some of the people that I met doing the research of this character. You know, real CIA officers, retired, who have kind of given me their true north to form a more perfect union, and some of the debate that they have within the agency, and but understanding that the shared idealism of working on the mission, which is to form a more perfect union and protect that. You know, those are shared values. And so stepping back into the role, that's the thing that I'd love to portray. You know, as an actor, you're a student of human behavior. And what you want to do is create the world so strong that it induces that behavior. And that's the great thing about reliving a role like James Greer.
One thing John Krasinski mentioned is that the story works for both longtime fans and for people who've never watched the series. Was that something you felt like while you were making it too?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to be familiar with the series at all. You can come to this fresh. You will see the history that we have as characters. You will see our relationship. You will see our expertise, and then also you have this story of what's happening now, this casual act that I ask a favor of Jack Ryan to do for me that actually ignites a global espionage chase. And so it is one of those things that people who have seen the series can come to and appreciate the next level of where we take the characters, and people who come to this fresh and new. But what we do over the course of a series, put into a 2-hour movie, is just heightened and it makes it a lot more intense.
And you said it's been heightened, it's more cinematic, a little bigger, but it also keeps the political and moral tensions that Tom Clancy's stories are known for. What kind of balance does this film strike between action and some of the character?
Well, you know, I think it's very important. I'm very proud of the fact that we keep the debate happening about the clarity of mission and clarity of what values are, and the political debate that happens around that, because that is happening within the world, what happens within the agency, and it makes you, as the viewer, look at it and decide what your values are. You know, I mean, that's the forum of what filmmaking should be about, the place where we collectively come together, reflect on who we are, decide where we want to go, decide what our values are, maybe bring that into our lives. And so I love that we have that debate, and at the same time have some of the best cinematic thrill sequences of action comparable to the French Connection and Marathon Man and all of that. You know, so I'm very proud of the cinematic and the debate that happens within the film.
And fans, they know you from so many incredible roles from over the years, but there's something about Greer that people really connect with. What do you think keeps audiences invested in this character and this franchise?
I try to make James Greer a everyman. You know, that people look at it and go, there but by the grace of God go I. You know, that they can see themselves in James Greer. He's a man of pragmatism. He's a family man. He's flawed as he tries and did not succeed in keeping his family together. But with all of that, he is principled, and he attempts to hang on to his principles and values. And people will see themselves in that, you know. Not someone who's perfect, but someone who's pragmatic and at least tries to live by some sort of moral code. And that's who we all are, and that's who we are when we dream of who we can become. So that's the thing that makes him prescient, you know, and personal. And that's what I pride myself on when I try to portray him.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. Jack Ryan, Ghost War premieres May 20th on Prime Video. Wendell Pierce, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Imagine waking up in somebody else's body and it's your worst enemy. Swapped follows a tiny woodland creature and a majestic bird who suddenly switch bodies and are forced to work together to survive. It's a fun, fast-moving story, but underneath it all, it really is about empathy, family, and seeing life from a different perspective. The film features a big cast, including Michael B. Jordan and Cedric the Entertainer, who plays a father at the center of it all. Cedric the Entertainer is here with us now. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
All right, good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. The story behind this blends comedy with a real message about empathy. What stood out to you when you first read this script?
You know, I mean, I really love the idea of this, you know, father-son kind of relationship. The son is kind of stretching out, trying to, you know, experiment and find a new way in life, and his father that's trying to hold on to the traditions in which we kind of lived by, and those things that he felt make them safe and that he do as a father. And I think that, you know, generationally, you know, my real life is dealing with that. My son is that 25-year-old with bigger ideas than I had at 25, and the guts to go and try them sometimes. So you're like, whoa, I don't know if you can do that, right? And so I think that's what I really resonated with me, is this idea that the generations after you always push the line a little bit further down the street.
And the whole idea is about literally seeing life from somebody else's point of view. What do you think audiences will take home from that?
You know, I think it's very poignant to the times that we live in, for all of us to be able to kind of embrace what it would be like to be in someone else's shoes, to be in their particular circumstance, and understand that if I just had an opportunity to see it from that POV, I could be more tolerant, I could be cooler, I could be, more accepting of differences. And I think that that's really important, that the youth see this. Of course, that's the energy that, the animated movies are about, but the adults who take them to the movies will see it in their own adult way. These kind of themes that I think will allow for a great message, but a great moment of entertainment.
And when this project came your way, what was it about Swap that stood out to you?
I mean, really, I like the storyline of, again, of who this father was. I wanted to, we were expecting to be delivering a lot more comedy, but once I realized it was like, a kind of a sincere, discerning role, that was even greater. It was an opportunity to do something that was a little different than what I normally do. So, but I love playing these father characters, but this one was like, again, you understood that the comedy relief was going to come from somewhere else, and I was there to kind of help support the story, and that was great. There's like a different kind of acting skill that you get to use when you kind of like make sure that you're the person that's carrying the plot and keeping the story alive itself.
And being part of a cast like this with voices like Michael B. Jordan and Juno Temple, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, again, another exciting part to do it. I mean, of course, Michael B. Jordan, this was, even when we started doing this, was pre the hype of Sinners. So we had no idea he was going to become an Oscar winner and all these things. So, but but he was just, a great talent, one that you knew had great potential of being a superstar. And of course, Juno is fun. I love Ted Lasso and her roles, and then Tracy Morgan's one of my great friends. And so, I was just looking forward to having a good time while all being on the same project.
All right, Cedric, thanks for joining us today. You can catch Swapped on Netflix right now. Definitely a fun one to throw on this weekend. Thank you for joining us once again, Cedric.
Thank you. I'll holler.
You may not know his name, but if you've ever watched soccer over the past few years, you've probably seen him. Yassine Cheuko became a familiar face protecting some of the biggest stars in the sport. And with the World Cup excitement continuing to build here in the United States, he's giving us a look at what it takes to stay ready in some of the most intense environments in sports. Yassine, it's great to have you with us. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm doing okay myself. People recognize you from those viral moments around the game, but what do most people get wrong about what you actually do?
So I'm very happy to do that. I'm doing this job now since 5 years. I'm very grateful. It's a blessing for me to be on the best athlete history. I learned every day. I love him so much. I love my job, and it's amazing for me. I'm living the dream.
And you've been around some of the most passionate crowds in sports. What do you think makes soccer fan culture different than anything else?
You know, soccer, it's a very popular sport. Everybody around the world watching soccer, people from Europe, Africa, India, Asia. Soccer, it brings people together. So it's very exciting. And I think it's the most popular sport in the world.
Absolutely. When you're in a packed stadium or like a high pressure situation, what are you paying attention to that the rest of us probably don't even notice?
So before the game, I always go to the stadium like 10-15 minutes before. I always go to check the sensitive area, sensitive spot when people, they can jump easy. So during the game, I'm always focused on this sensitive spot on the players. I don't watch the game at all. Even if you ask me how is the game going, I cannot tell you because I don't know. I just focused on my job, on the crowd of the players.
And you're surrounded by elite athletes every single day. What does your own training and preparation look like to stay on that level?
You know, I start to train at 13 years old. I'm training now for more than 30 years. I used to be a Muay Thai fighter in Thailand. So training, it's part of my life. I train every day. I eat healthy. I sleep good. And this helps me a lot to keep my mind in peace and to be in peace with people and with my work.
And you see nowadays so many soccer players and fans drinking the yerba mate. For someone that has never even tried it, what's the appeal and why has it become part of even your routine?
Yerba mate, it's very important for me. I'm drinking this now since 5 years. And yerba mate is a plant from South America. And it gives you focus, it gives you a boost. It's more than a drink. It's something you can share with your family, with your friends. And it's part of my life now. And you're going to see a lot of soccer players during the World Cup drinking this because it helps you a lot for your performance in the field, off the field. Even if you're not an athlete, if you run a company or something, it's very good for your focus. You should try.
I actually love this stuff myself. Well, thank you for sending over one of these little packets for me again. If you want to learn more about yerba mate and traditions behind it, you got to visit yerbamadre.com. Thanks for joining me today, Yassine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For a lot of women, health concerns don't fit neatly into one category. Hormones, metabolism, weight, and reproductive health can all be connected, yet many women say their care feels fragmented. A new survey is looking at some of these gaps and what can be done about them. So joining us today is Dr. Janelle Duah from the Maven Clinic. Welcome to the show, Doctor. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay myself. GLP-1s and hormone therapy are two of the fastest growing categories in medicine right now. Your research suggests women are getting adequate follow-up care after starting these treatments. What do you think is going wrong?
Yeah, what's happening is that we are seeing a time where access to these medications, GLP-1s and hormone replacement therapy specifically, is there. But what is crucial but missing is that true wraparound comprehensive care with follow-up. Over half of women that are taking these sorts of medications find that their follow-up is inconsistent, inadequate, and really meaningless. So we're here at Maven to bridge that gap. We want to be a place where women can get access to these life-changing medications, but also get the follow-up that addresses education and counseling and lifestyle recommendations, whether with stress and nutrition and exercise, so that a woman is really armed with enough information to make the right choices for herself that helps her improve her health in a way that helps her thrive and not just survive.
And a lot of people watching may be dealing with issues like weight changes, hormones, PCOS, or menopause. Why is it often so hard for women to get clear answers and coordinated care?
Yeah, and I can attest to this both as a patient myself and a physician. So, in the patient realm, I have been diagnosed with PCOS, also known as PMOS, and I've been living with that diagnosis for over 2 decades. And in those 2 decades, I have experienced having to jump from doctor to help understand, are my symptoms just random? Are they coordinated? Are they connected? Is this part and parcel of an overarching syndrome? And in the realm of being a physician, 20% of us actually feel that there are true training gaps, especially when it comes to menopausal care. But we think that that can be extrapolated to women's health in general. So we're having a time where women are left to connect the dots on their own. They're trying to seek care that helps them to connect the dots, but that training is missing. And we're really trying to be a hub here at Maven where our providers are passionate and have experience and are experts in these two big and growing realms, GLP-1 and metabolic health, as well as hormonal health, so that women aren't left alone to put the puzzle pieces together anymore.
And you've personally navigated PCOS and used GLP-1 medications yourself. How did your own experience shape the way you think about women's healthcare?
Yeah, having to navigate the traditional healthcare system as a patient myself really pushed me and ingrained a passion in me for doing things differently. We want to be able to be a place, have providers where women feel that they can be listened to, that they are heard, that they can trust that their provider is creating a comprehensive, holistic plan that takes not just their symptoms and medication into account, but their lived experience so that they're getting a plan that's personalized for them that really fits their needs.
And for women who feel frustrated or unheard when it comes to their health, what should they know and what could they do to advocate for themselves?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want women to understand that what they're going through, they should trust their instinct. Women really have a good gestalt for when things are off. And that means that they might have to, again, navigate a healthcare system, get a second opinion, third opinion, but always with the end goal of finding a provider who actually listens, who actually asks those deeper questions, who actually cares about their lived experiences. And that is no longer kind of only found in an in-person provider. Here at Maven, we provide that comprehensive holistic care virtually, meaning that that you can access it at any time right at your fingertips nationwide.
And there are a lot of digital health platforms entering this space. What makes Maven's approach different?
Yeah, so Maven has actually been around for over a decade providing virtual care for women and their families. We're actually the largest platform for that. We have classically been offering that as an employer-based benefit, but we've been able to research our own outcomes, our own services, and see how we have been shaping and improving health outcomes for millions of lives. Now we are improving that access, opening up that access to women nationwide. Again, we don't just regard ourselves as a place where you can get access to these medications, but actually we want to be able to be a place where women can get that education, that counseling, they can feel heard and listened to, that they know that their story matters, because that is all part and parcel of creating a comprehensive, individualized plan that works for a woman and where she's at in her life.
And Maven talks about being relentlessly focused on closing gaps in care for women and families. What does that look like in practice?
Yes. So we don't just treat the woman, and again, not just her symptoms. We really take into account her lived experience. Here at our in our nationwide offering, we do focus on GLP-1s and hormone health, but women also get access to the upwards of 30 specialties that we have on our platform as well that help with navigating life and improving how women are showing up for themselves, showing up for their families, their households, in their jobs. So we really take a complementary, cohesive look at how a woman is doing. Again, our main offerings are GLP-1s and hormone care, but we have upwards of 30 specialties that we know help a woman thrive.
And finally, where can people go for more information?
Yeah, so your viewers can check out mavenclinic.com/care to check out our GLP-1 and hormone care offerings and see if it's right for them.
Dr. Duah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Getting away is the fun part. Getting there can sometimes be the challenge. Whether you're taking a road trip or catching a flight, a few smart strategies can make the summer travel a little easier. Kelsey Griffin is here with some ideas to help. Welcome to the show, Kelsey. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm great.
Okay, when you're planning time away from the home this summer, what's the biggest thing people should be keeping in mind?
Yeah, so I mean, people tend to think of travel as just vacations, but so many of life's biggest moments, like a new job, a relocation, maybe a home renovation, or like a temporary work assignment, all of these things can take you away from home for weeks, sometimes even months. So I love Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. They have an extended stay brand for every type of traveler. You can think brands like Hawthorne, Echo Suites, and Waterwalk. These are all designed for travelers who need more than just a place to sleep. Plus, with spacious suites, kitchens, and really thoughtful amenities like on-site laundry, full gyms, and smart TVs, guests can really maintain their routines and just feel more at home while they're away. And right now, they're running a variety of offers that can help you save on your next extended stay. So you can check out all the details at wyndhamhotels.com/extended stay.
And travel days can be long. How can we stay comfortable, organized, and refreshed while we're on the go?
Yeah, so the goal is really always to have travel just feel less stressful. And it does come down to those three things. So first, for comfort, I always like to dress in layers because somehow planes, trains, cars, they're just never the temperature that you actually want them to be at. So the next, organization is really what's going to save you the most stress. So something I like to do is I actually keep a tech pouch and a toiletries bag fully packed at all times. So I have a set of cords, chargers, adapters, and then also some travel size toiletries stocked. So that way, anytime I am traveling, I know that I'm going to have my absolute bare minimum essentials with me and I don't have to stress about those. And then lastly, to feel refreshed after a long travel day, I just like to keep a few small, simple items in my bag. So things like a face mist, a lip balm, maybe some gum, nothing too complicated, but just having these little, items really does make a difference after a really long day.
For families especially, what are some easy ways to keep the trip fun and stress-free?
Yeah, so I mean, Legoland Florida is literally built for families. They have over 50 rides, shows, attractions, plus a water park, Peppa Pig theme park, and a sea life aquarium all in one place. They have their new Galactic Coaster, which is an indoor space-themed family coaster where kids can customize their own spacecraft. They also have their Lego Festival running July 20th through August 16th that has 5 different interactive zones that are packed with build challenges and live entertainment. And they also have running June 11th through July 19th. They have a FIFA World Cup 2026 experience that lets kids meet Lego versions of soccer superstars like Messi and Ronaldo, and they can even attempt to score against a life-size Lego figure. And on July 4th, they have their Red, White, and Boom returning to celebrate America's 250th birthday with a really amazing fireworks show. So lots going on at Legoland for the family, and you can find out more details at legoland.com/Florida.
All right, one more time, remind us for both those sites where we could go for more information.
Yeah, again, you can go to wyndhamhotels.com/extended stay and legoland.com for more information.
Kelsey, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Medical breakthroughs often make headlines, but bringing out new treatment from research stage to the patients who need it can take years of work, testing, and innovation. AstraZeneca is announcing a $50 billion investment to expand research and manufacturing here in the United States with the goal of accelerating the development of new medications for cancer, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. So joining us from the New York Stock Exchange is David Fredrickson, Executive Vice President of AstraZeneca's Oncology Business Unit. Welcome to the show, Dave. How are you, my friend?
Dan, I'm doing really well. It's great to be here with you. We are living in a new era of cancer care. And today, ringing the New York Stock Exchange opening bell represents opening a new chapter at AstraZeneca. And it's an exciting time for science and all the innovative medicines that we're able to be bringing to patients here in the United States.
Thanks for being here today. Dave, we hear about medical breakthroughs all the time, but most people don't see what happens behind the scenes. What does it actually take to turn a scientific discovery into a treatment that actually reaches patients?
It's really an excellent question because it is about how we are innovative and moving at pace from discovery to development to the delivery of medicines. There are 3 things that are coming together that make it possible. Obviously, the first is great science, but the second is remarkable new technologies, blood-based technologies, imaging technologies, and the third is data. And we are able to bring this convergence and explosion of all this together to compress the amount of time that we can discover, develop, and deliver new medicines to American patients. And then, as you mentioned in your opening, the $50 billion investment that we're making in the United States is explicitly an effort to bring our science closer to American patients so that they can benefit first from these breakthrough medicines.
And AstraZeneca, you have announced a $50 billion investment in the United States. What does that mean for medical research, manufacturing, and innovation here at home?
Well, the $50 billion investment is the largest ever commitment that we've made in the history of the company. And what sits behind that investment is, first and foremost, investment in clinical trials. Secondly, in next generation manufacturing. And thirdly, in making sure that we're able to get as much education about these new medicines to the oncology community or other therapeutic areas that we're working in as quickly as possible. And so what it means for people in the United States and for cancer patients in the United States is an opportunity to be able to get medicines faster. Why? Because we are working to have clinical trials enrolling within the United States. Just within Tampa area, we've got over 100 clinical trials that we're doing right now in the area with AstraZeneca. We look for that to increase, and also for patients to know that they have an opportunity for access to medicines that are manufactured here in the United States.
And many families have been affected by cancer, heart disease, and other chronic illnesses. How does this investment help accelerate new treatments for those patients?
Well, indeed, you're absolutely right. The incidence of some of these diseases is on the rise, and that is a reason for concern, but it is also the reason why we're so steadfast in our focus to move at pace to find, ideally, cures for, in my field, cancer in its many different forms. I think that right now, for the American cancer patient, is a time for hope. Certainly, a diagnosis with cancer is something that is unwelcome news for any patient, but I do hope that there's an opportunity to know that there are more medicines coming more rapidly than ever, and that there is a reason to be hopeful that there may be a medicine that's right for them after diagnosis.
And one area you're particularly focused on is targeted chemotherapy. How is that approach different from traditional cancer treatment, and why is it so promising?
It's a really excellent question. There's so much advancement that's being made in new types of medicines, and one that you've described are these smart or targeted chemotherapies. Classical chemotherapy goes after all cells, whether they're cancer cells or healthy cells. Smart chemotherapy is specifically seeking out cancer cells. And that makes it both more effective and also ideally safer for patients who are taking them. And we've seen amazing results that are coming out of many different clinical trials across the different studies that are being run within the field. The other really important area is that we're learning how to best harness people's immune system. So how can we get an individual patient's immune system to help to combat cancer? And these two areas together, smart chemo, harnessing the immune system, are making it possible for us to drive to even better medicines than we had even 3, 4, 5 months ago.
And for viewers who would like to learn more about AstraZeneca's research and the work being done in these areas, where can they go for more information?
Well, they can go certainly to AstraZeneca.com or AstraZeneca/US.com. This is a great opportunity to learn more about the exciting work that we are doing here in the U.S. and across the globe. And I really do appreciate, Dan, so very much you giving us an opportunity to talk to your viewers about it.
Dave Fredrickson, I really want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
And that is it for Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Just look up at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.